I've always wanted to drive from India's east coast to the west coast. It's a drive that's been on my bucket list for a very long time now, and I'm finally getting a chance to tick it. Now my choice of wheels for this drive is the Volkswagen Tiguan, and I'm starting from the famous Elliott's Beach in Chennai, which sits by the Bay of Bengal in Tamil Nadu, and I'm headed to the city of Mangalore, which sits on India's west coast by the Arabian Sea. It's a distance of about 700 kilometers and will see me drive through some very scenic and very pretty parts of southern India. But it's not just about the drive this time, because there's a very interesting and a very unique twist to it all.
Check out my slow style, I'm catching big air. It's almost hang time, I'm stopping mid-air. And from my drop in, it's just a big run. And I keep it for 720s till I stomp one.
Tell me who's that riding? John the Revelator, who's that riding?
So the twist is, I will be joining Will Robinson, who's a British ultra-marathon runner and athlete, and he's going to be running 700 kilometers in India, which is just nuts. And I'll be alongside him in the Volkswagen Tiguan.
Called Adam by his name, but he refused to answer, 'cause he was naked.
But as crazy as a 700 kilometer run from India's east coast to the west coast sounds, Will is doing this for a cause. As an ultra runner, he leads a very active lifestyle, and he strongly believes that it is what everyone should be adopting for all possible reasons. And that's besides the fact that for this run, Will has also partnered with a few charities, both British and Indian.
3-letter way.
As an ultra runner, Will can make marathon runs look like a walk in the park, and that's because he's used to cycling and running expeditions stretching weeks. So while 700 kilometers is unthinkable for most of the world's population, Will believes the human body can endure far more than we all think.
Tell me who's that riding? John the Revelator.
As a 28-year-old athlete, Will is at the peak of human endurance, and by running across India, he also wants to highlight the need for everyone to focus on mental health, besides wanting to promote running and fitness as a lifestyle that's easy to adopt.
As an ultra runner, Will is already pushing the envelope as far as human endurance is concerned, and for this run, he's been training for several months now. And to draw parallels, the Volkswagen Tiguan here is an SUV that's always impressed me with, of course, its design. It looks very good and very premium, and that's besides the fact that it offers a car-like feel from behind the wheel. It's got a very sporty handling package. I like the feedback from the steering wheel, but above all else, it's the 2-liter TSI engine, which is a 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine putting out 190 PS. That has always impressed me, be it in terms of the acceleration, the overall performance, or its refinement.
More importantly, the way Will is exemplifying human endurance, the Tiguan is a brilliant example of Volkswagen's globally renowned engineering. It exemplifies the pinnacle of automotive engineering, being a world-class product. And as a premium SUV, it is a package that's unbeatable with its robust build quality, premium interiors and features, while being powered by the brilliant 2-liter TSI engine that is mated to Volkswagen's ever-likable 7-speed DSG.
And another reason why I'm so excited about this road trip is the fact that for his 700 kilometers, Will is not going to be taking highways usually. He's going to be taking some of the B roads, the country roads, passing through some of South India's smaller towns and villages. And these are places that I've never had a chance to explore. So I'm looking forward to the experience of meeting the people there, experiencing the food, the sights, the sounds, the visuals, the scenery and everything. So this is something that's going to make this road trip unlike any other road trip that I've done before.
But India's tropical weather is worlds apart from the cold weather that Will is used to running in back in the UK. So Will was starting his days early and would be out running by 5 AM to make the most of the cooler weather before the sun was up. He had planned to run 100 kilometers a day, which was phenomenal, but day one was a real shocker for me. That's because Will started running at 5 am and only ended the day around 9 pm after running for about 118 kilometers. Now, most of us would have collapsed in Chennai's heat well before noon, but Will was off to quite the start, despite the challenges in terms of the heat and humidity. And the next morning, he had started running at 5 am again.
It's also interesting to note that Will has never been to India before this, but I can see the smile on his face, which tells me that he's really liking the warm-hearted nature of people in India, because everywhere he goes, I see people waving out to him, giving him a smile or a thumbs up and asking him what he's up to, and even offering like fruits or a bottle of water and stuff like that. So he seems quite excited about this run in India.
People in our country are always known to be warm and welcoming, and I was glad that Will was able to experience this as well.
But for somebody who hails from a country like England, where the weather is cold throughout the year, Will is finding it quite a bit of a challenge to cope up with the heat here in Tamil Nadu. I see him sweating profusely, but the good thing is he's constantly quaffing liquids. He's got somebody who's taking care of his nutrition on the go. He's having fruits, he's having a lot of salty stuff to ensure that the electrolytes do not go down and he does not get cramps because of dehydration, and he's definitely up for the challenge.
Will's plan was simple and one that seemed to be effective. He would take a pit stop after every 10 kilometers, sitting down to catch his breath and grab a quick bite, and also restock on his stash of electrolytes, energy bars and more that he was carrying in his running vest during the pit stop itself.
So while Will is out there showing us what human endurance can look like at its peak, the Volkswagen Tiguan is an SUV that's always been a global bestseller for Volkswagen, and it's also aced the Euro NCAP safety test by scoring a full 5 stars. Now, it might sound a little boring when I say that I drive for 10 kilometers, wait for Will to catch up, he then has a pit stop and then continues for another 10 kilometers and then I meet him. This is literally the routine. It's like a repeat cycle that happens every 10 kilometers. Yes, it sounds boring, but it is not, because I'm used to driving fast on the highway at whatever speeds the highways will permit. And you tend to just miss a lot of things on the way, but driving slow can also be interesting, and this is something that I'm realizing on this road trip. But having said that, a few things will change today in terms of our routines, because we're shortly set to enter the city of Bangalore, that's infamous for its traffic.
As we progressed, the scenery, the countryside and weather were changing because we were moving away from the coastal region and entering Karnataka, a state that's also known for its dense forests and hilly terrain. And the cooler weather was certainly helping Will feel better, which in turn was helping him cover distances quicker.
The terrain changes and the changes in weather down here in South India are also very interesting to note for somebody like me who lives up north in Maharashtra, because while Chennai was hot, humid and we were expecting some rainfall, thankfully it's not rained. But as you move on, you enter Karnataka, then you've got a lot of forests, a lot of greenery, and it can get quite cool and very pleasant. And the cold weather is something that Will is used to, so he's actually enjoying his time out there right now.
I also realized that the pit stops were a great way for me to catch up with Will. They were also helping me understand him as a person and also bond with him, because he was also inspiring me with his grit and determination to run the distance he was in a foreign country for a cause.
Okay, how does it feel?
Good. Is that when you're getting hot?
You know, this is truly inspiring for me as well. And overall, you know, I've been seeing you, noticing you, And for me, just being a part of the team with you and seeing you do this,
Well, thank you. That was some of the best running I've had all trip. So who knows what's around the corner?
yeah, exactly. But how do you like the woods and the waters, everything that you just passed?
It's definitely just having some shade. Shade's really nice. Yeah. But that town, everyone was making clothes. It must have been a bit more of a sewing community. Yeah. Really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what running is also helping you to do is just absorb the surroundings, notice, look around, and see what's happening.
Definitely.
Rather than, like I was telling you. So if I were to drive it, I would just sort of bolted past everything without getting a chance to notice. But thanks to you and thanks to this entire journey, I'm getting to see things myself. We've seen a lot of change in the terrain, the conditions. How's it been for you? First, you started off at the coast, and then we've climbed up, and then, some undulations, a bit of off-roading, some trails and stuff like that, and then a lot of highways. How was it?
And well, I mean, the heat in Chennai was very, very hot, especially for an Englishman. And then it went into very quickly went into the rural, small little Indian communities, the small farms.
Yeah.
And now it seems like it's got good infrastructure. We're looking at a motorway.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's really impressive of how much variety there is.
And I'm so happy to see you talk about, what you think of India and how you're liking the country.
I love it. I mean, I was just running along then, and there was a small little shrine. I apologize, I don't know what to call it, but it had some incense blowing, and it was blowing in my face.
Nice.
And I thought, okay, so I'm smelling India, I'm feeling India through the heat, and I'm hearing it through the birds. So it almost had me in all three senses.
Wow, that's nice.
Mm.
And what do you think of the car?
Body is great. You've got so much more space. Yeah, it's a very spacious car. And it seems like it's coping with the terrain really well.
Yes, absolutely. No, I mean, I'm liking the way I've always liked the Tiguan for its comfort. But that's when, I'm, like I said, driving fast, going at motorway speeds and stuff like that. But here, driving through the smaller towns and villages, the B roads and the country roads, all of that, it's coping up really well.
Yeah.
So it's great.
And it's got a sunroof.
Yes, it
That's
does.
even better.
Yeah, I mean,
There you go.
The drive was also proving to be a piece of cake for the Tiguan. And that's because I've driven the Tiguan extensively over the years, and it is an SUV that's excellent for road trips. It impresses immensely with its space, comfort, the tactile controls and overall performance as a premium SUV. The Tiguan is also never shy of treading off tarmac, as I found out. And that's because there were numerous occasions when Will would leave the tarmac and head off into the fields or into the wilderness for some adventure, using his GPS to guide him. And the Tiguan was always up for adventure too, thanks to its brilliant 4-motion system that makes for excellent all-wheel drive capability, besides the strong grunt from the engine at low revs and its 200mm ground clearance. One of the mornings when the weather was cool and Will seemed to be in a good mood after having covered a good distance since morning, I even decided to have him try a typical South Indian breakfast, which also made for some interesting conversations.
My biggest takeaways and what I'm telling people is, I know it's a bit morbid, but don't wait for someone close to you to be ill or die to remind you to live.
True.
Moving your body is amazing, and don't take anything for granted.
So this one was turning out to be a road trip unlike any other, as this time it wasn't just about driving a premium SUV across the country. In fact, this drive was helping me draw parallels between the Tiguan that I was driving as an SUV that has stood the test of time, and Will Robinson, who was no less than a running machine and was proving to me how tough the human body can be. And my experiences this time were thought-provoking to say the very least. But a few things were about to change for both Will and me on that day, as we were about to get to the city of Bangalore and encounter its infamous traffic. Suddenly, the tranquil fields and the villages had made way for Bangalore's skyscrapers and hordes of cars and two-wheelers. The Bangalore traffic meant I was only able to drive at a crawling pace, but thankfully, the Tiguan's smooth throttle responses and brilliant DSG and the excellent view from behind its wheel were ensuring I was perfectly at ease even in the bumper-to-bumper traffic. In fact, Bangalore was the only place where Will was faster than me, even though he was just walking and not even running. And after crossing Bangalore, we were back to our routine of driving through the smaller towns and villages in Karnataka, a state that's rich in natural beauty and also known for its coffee plantations.
We're bang in the middle of coffee country now because Karnataka is known as India's coffee capital, and I'm in southwest Karnataka right now heading towards Mangalore, and the coffee estates in this region are the ones that supply a lot of the coffee that you and I enjoy every morning when we wake up. And this is a beautiful place to be in because I've got some nice hilly roads in this region that are helping me enjoy my time behind the wheel of the Tiguan. Of course, this road trip is not really about driving, but with this kind of performance and handling with the 2-liter TSI engine under its hood that puts out 190 PS, and its kind of handling and the steering feedback that the Tiguan has, it is ensuring I am enjoying my time driving it.
And given the cooler climate in the region, Will seemed very upbeat and was also quicker on his feet. Will was also accompanied by James Poole, who was helping his followers around the globe stay updated about his run in India by posting content online, and Rachel White, who was taking care of Will's nutritional needs. James and Rachel are both ultra runners themselves and were also running with Will in stints intermittently to give him company and also ensure he was in the best state of mind at all times. And then Rachel also helped me discover something about the Tiguan which most people tend to not realize, which is its excellent parcel tray.
The Volkswagen Tiguan is also helping us make quick and efficient pit stops.
Yeah, for sure. What's really nice is that when Will comes in and he's running in, he can see everything laid out. It's a really nice height as well, which means that it just makes it a lot easier for everybody, really.
And I see, Rachel, that the way the Tiguan needs good fuel to keep running, I see you've got a lot of fuel ready for Will as well. Can you just help me understand what have we got here?
Yeah, for sure. So we got the main aim of the game is to keep him as well fueled as possible. So we use lots of carbohydrate products like this gel.
Yeah.
It's just pure energy, basically.
Okay.
And then we got bars, also using some real food like salty things to help because it's super hot here and
Yeah.
you know, obviously sweat a lot coming from England. This is very difficult
Yeah.
and different for us. And then we got things like this energy drink, which I know you particularly like.
Yes.
So this is a high caffeine drink, which is from the UK. So it's really nice.
So
Good
I
work.
think the way to just sort of draw parallels, the Tiguan here, it needs good fuel. I'm looking for high octane fuel that will help me drive it effortlessly. I see you've got all the high octane fuel ready for Will here.
Yes, and it's so important when you're running such a long distance. You've got to keep on top of your nutrition and you can't let your car get empty. You wouldn't let your car run out of fuel because you'd stop. And
Yeah.
it's exactly the same with nutrition when you're running. So it's just keeping him topped up all the time and helps keep him happy.
As we progressed, Will's pace was dropping due to his fatigue, and we realized we would need an extra day to make it to Mangalore than originally planned. And getting closer to Mangalore meant we were closer to the coast again, which meant the weather was getting humid again, adding to the challenge. My Tiguan, on the other hand, was unfazed despite being driven for nearly 700 kilometers already, across elevation changes, changes in the weather, the air turning from humid to dry and humid again, and even the changes in traffic, ranging from barely any traffic to bumper traffic. And that's the beauty of Volkswagen's engineering. The Tiguan is a well-rounded package and an SUV that's hard to fault with, be it its engineering, the excellent powertrain under its hood, the comfort, the space, or even its feature list. And on the last day, our spirits were high as we only had about 70 kilometers to the beach in Mangalore, which was our finish line. Will had just shown me how much the human body can endure and how tough we are as human beings by running 700 kilometers in a country that was completely alien to him with the kind of climate he's never experienced. For me, this road trip, especially in a full-size premium SUV like the Tiguan, had turned out to be a unique one. It had made me take it easy, giving me time to think and reflect on a lot of things in life. That's besides the fact that Will had also inspired me to seriously start adopting a healthier lifestyle. And finally, as we got to the beach in Mangalore, our emotions were high to say the very least.
And this is it. I've reached Mangalore. I'm at the beach by the Arabian Sea in Mangalore, having driven for more than 700 kilometers in just a little over a week. It's been a phenomenal journey to say so, because normally this drive from Chennai to Mangalore would have taken me just about 15 hours, taking some of India's best highways. But we've avoided highways, we've taken some of the smaller roads and driven through some villages that I've never seen before, seen some of the prettiest parts of my own country, thanks to Will, who's been running and doing about 100 kilometers a day on an average on his own feet. And that's pretty phenomenal, because this guy is literally the peak of human endurance. There's been a lot of learning, a lot of experiences with him. He's even inspired me to adopt a healthier lifestyle and think about walking or running to maintain my health, and a lot of inspiration from him, a lot of experiences, a lot of learnings overall for me. And of course, as I wait here for Will to join me in the celebrations, there's a lot that I'm thinking about before I head back home. Overall, this has been a journey unlike any other that I've done before in my life. And yes, life is all about experiences, and that's what Volkswagen is also bringing with its Volkswagen experiences. And this is probably just the start of it all for me.